What's up, NBA fans? What's up, all sports fans? This your boy JB, host of the Behind the Bench Podcast Network and channel, giving a shout out to the rest of the crew and for everyone who's tuning in on this early morning. Thank you for supporting Behind the Bench. Subscribe to the channel, help make the show the best that it can be. And I wanted to talk about this pressing trend that has permeated throughout the entire NBA. And we saw a full dose of this, what I like to call a dilemma. I watched a lot of games over the past week. And as I always like to say, I do not like to compare eras. I'll never sit here and say one era is better than the next, or which era featured the best athletes. I don't get off on all that, man, because at the end of the day, there were great athletes in every decade that has preceded the 2020s. So I don't get off into that. It's the game that has changed. The 3-point shot, and I would say the one player who personifies the effectiveness of the three when it's utilized properly, for the most part, is as they bill him, the baby assassin, Stephen Wardell Curry. And as I look back at his career, he is a self-made player. He was not highly touted when he entered the NBA out of the University of Davidson, and he turned himself into a two-time league MVP, a unanimous league MVP in 2016 during the 25-2016 season, when he led his team, the Golden State Warriors, to a 73-9 record, which stands as the greatest single record throughout the course of the regular season. But there's more to his game than just shooting the three. He tends to run off a lot of screens to get open. I mean, he can shoot it from anywhere on the court. I'm going to give him that, man. It's no doubt about it. But also, Stephen Curry is the all-time leader, not just in three-point shooting, as far as three-point shots made, but also free throw shooting percentage. So it showed that he has the skill to shoot, right? So he's a natural shooter. That's what I'm trying to say. I believe the difference between him and other players who rely on the three-point shooting with what seems to be in more frequent attempts, they have practiced the shot. Because this is the era where the three-point shot is prolific right now. But that doesn't mean that they're natural shooters. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm getting at is, if you took away this three-point era, Steph Curry would still be Steph Curry. This is what I'm trying to say. And he's also won 4 NBA championships. But he does more than just shoot threes. He does have a pull-up. He does have mid-range game. He can attack the basket. He knows how to get open. Like Reggie Miller used to do, running off of screens to get open, run this man off of down screens and whatnot. Baseline screens. uh, which was an extension of John Havlicek of the Boston Celtics. So what I'm getting at is I saw so many games over the past week where I seen guys like Victor Wembanyama. He is a center. He's out there taking 10, 11 three-point shots. There was one game where I believe the San Antonio Spurs played the Los Angeles Lakers. And he took, like, if I'm not mistaken, was it 13 three-point shots? He took 13 three-point shots. And he's a center. And he missed like, he was probably something like, what, 4 of 13 or 3 of 13 or something like that. So you're leaving 30 points out there. Whereas if you actually play the position, I mean, you can shoot the three within reason because that's where the game is today. I have no issue with the three-point shot in of itself. That's not the issue. It's players unnecessarily shooting way too many threes. You're leaving points on the board. And it's not just like a single player, it's teams. Like the Boston Celtics the other night. They faced the Memphis Grizzlies at home. And Memphis was controlling the game. They had a balanced attack. They shot the three ball, but they got the ball inside. They scored inside with Jaren Jackson or not. They drove to the basket with John Morant. It was a great balance, and they controlled the game as a result. The Boston Celtics, as a team, they're the defending champions. They're the defending NBA champions. They took 60 threes. They took 60 three-point attempts. 60. And they made, if I'm not mistaken, 15. So out of 60 shot attempts, you made a quarter of them, 25%. And as a result, they lost the game because of the number of three-point shot attempts. Memphis won the game because of balance. Last night, the Los Angeles Clippers were at home and they faced the Houston Rockets. And Houston Rockets is on the roll, man. They off to a great start this year. I love what Houston is doing. Now, James Harden didn't play last night. I don't know if it was because of low management or a minor injury. I'm not sure about that. But Norman Powell returned back from a game absence. Kawhi Leonard is out. And Norman Powell, who's been playing great for the most part, he shot 8 three-pointers and only made 1. Chris Dunn, who's been playing effectively for the Clippers this year, I believe it was Chris Dunn, he was 1 of 5 from behind the arc. So you take those two players alone, they shot a combined 2 of 13 from the three-point line. 2 of 13. Meanwhile, their big man, Ivica Zubac, was 9 of 15 shooting and had 20 points. So if you cut those attempts down by half and give the ball inside to Zubac, who was hitting his shot and showed that he can hit his shot when you feature him in the offense, and he hit a couple of 10 to 12 foot jump shots. So Zubac is showing he can shoot the jumper, but he don't get the opportunity to show that. If they would have utilized that strategy, they would have put themselves a better chance to possibly win that game, being shorthanded. I'm seeing so many games where Trae Young, and I know he hit that game winner versus the Lakers the other night. That was Friday night, hit that game winner. But there's been games where, like last night against Denver, he didn't shoot the ball well from behind the arc. I've seen so many games where he's shooting like 2 of 8, 2 of 9. You know, and it's mainly like the backcourt that's shooting like this. And what happens is some kind of way fans are being led to believe that the more three-point shots you take, the more skilled that you are. When in all actuality, that's not good basketball. That's not good basketball. And I've seen teams in position to win games. Last night, the Minnesota Timberwolves, they played Golden State Warriors on the second game of a back-to-back versus Golden State on the road. They won the first game against Golden State. I believe that was on Friday. Last night, they had the lead going down the stretch, and they started jacking up threes. And more than likely, when you playing during the down stretch of a game, the pressure intensifies, and you're not going to hit that three-point shot as much as you would during the beginning of the stages of the game, or like the first half of the game, because the defense tends to tighten up in the last 5-6 minutes of the fourth quarters. So what I'm saying is, man, when former players of the NBA, they're not necessarily saying that they're better players, but they saying that the way they played the game, it was more appropriate. And when I say efficient, I'm not necessarily talking about percentage. I'm talking about getting the ball where it needs to go when it needs to get there. You see what I'm saying? When you're shooting 1 from 10, you're literally giving the opponent, you're almost gift wrapping the game. So it's almost like, to me, when I see teams out here shooting this number of threes, it seems like to me the coaches are relying on percentages to try to win rather than actually coaching the game out throughout. That's what it's seeming like to me. Because they looking at it like, in their mind, they're looking at it like, well, the 3-point shot is more than a 2-point shot. Okay. But I look at it like this. How can I put this? If you're taking 8 3-point shots, that's a potential 24 points, right? And you're only making 2 of those shots, because I've seen a lot of instances where players are shooting like 2 for 8 from behind the arc. So I'm not exaggerating. De'Aaron Fox, I've seen a game where he shot 1 for 9 last week. 1 for 9. Okay. So what's better? And you're bailing the defense out. When you're taking that many threes, you're bailing the defense out. Is it better to go 2 from 8 from behind the arc, or going 4 from 8 inside the arc? You see what I'm saying? If you look at the court, and just look at the way the game is set up, you have a greater chance of scoring from inside the arc, a 2-point mid-range. You got the mid-range area of the court. You got inside the paint. Then you got the low block. You got the high block. Inside the restricted area. There's more ways to score inside the arc than it is to score outside the arc. So if you look at it, you're more effective shooting the 2 than you really are shooting the 3. So what I'm saying is, now Steph Curry is the exception, because he brings more to the table than just shooting threes. And I think that's the misconception about his game, is that he's an exclusive 3-point shooter. He's more than that. And I think because of the fact that his game is more well-rounded, because he's a natural shooter, the 3-point shot is more just like a totality of his overall game. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm getting at is, man, the 3-point shot has gotten way out of hand, and I believe it's actually losing its effectiveness because players are relying on it too much on offense. Anthony Edwards, they keep saying he's this tremendous athlete, which I'm not going to disagree with that. But he's taking too many 3-point shots. He's taking way too many. To be a two guard, I'm talking about a legitimate two guard. He's taking way too many threes, man. And it's costing his teams games. Whereas if he develop a go-to move, really, and he's only 23 years old. Don't get me wrong. I think overall, he is showing that he can develop into something. But if he practices and get that mid-range, that pull-up jumper down pat, man, he's going to find that's going to open up the defense. That's going to make him more of a threat to where he could take it to the rack, he could take it to the basket, or he can shoot that three that would really, seal the deal, or as they say, the dagger shot. To me, the 3-point shot should be more of a dagger shot. You know what I'm saying? That's how the 3-point shot was utilized, like during the 90s, or during the 80s when Larry Bird would shoot that dagger 3, or Dale Ellis would shoot that dagger 3. You had those players during that time were called specialists. You know what I'm saying? But, I mean, teams average just as many points in the 80s as they're doing right now. They were more effective, and they had more ways of scoring. It wasn't just a 3-point shot. It necessarily wasn't just the half-court game, that fast break. And that's another element that's been taken away from the game, the fast break. That's something, that is a strategy and a form of an attack that has to be practiced. You have to develop chemistry to execute that fast break with precision. So to me, relying too much on 3-point shot is more of a weakness to one's game. And that's why Michael Jordan said, since his name is brought up so much these days, Michael Jordan said this was during the 92 NBA Finals where they kind of interviewed him, prior to the series, and they featured that interview. He said, I don't want to rely too much on a 3-point shot because it's going to take away from the rest of my game. So so what he's saying is he could have shot 8 or 9 3-pointers a game, but his game was so freaking lethal that he had every shot in the book. And I'd rather have every shot in the book and then limit the number of 3-point shots than exclusively rely on the 3-point shots. And there's other aspects of the game that you may not be as sound in. So come playoff time, that's what has hurt a player like James Harden. That's what has hurt a player like James Harden, where in his prime, he was scoring like 35 points a game, averaging 35 points a game. He was getting close to, 30-point triple doubles. He won a league MVP, become postseason when his style of play is one-dimensional with no mid-range game, and he's not they say he's strong, but he's not the biggest guy in the world. Well, with no mid-range game or with no counter, you can neutralize James Harden. He don't look like the same player. You take away that step back, that step back or that step to the side 3. You take that away, well, his scoring average goes from 30-some points a game to about 20. A player like Michael Jordan, his scoring average went up. And he was averaging 30 plus during the regular season, but his averages still went up in the postseason. You see? So this is what former players are talking about. A player like Reggie Miller, yes, he was known for the 3-point shot, and he once held the all-time 3-point conversion mark. He won that Ray Allen had surpassed, and then eventually Curry surpassed Allen. But Reggie Miller had more aspects to his game, and he knew how to run players off them screens to get open, not just to shoot threes, but to shoot 18 to 20 foot out, and that's even a more deadly shot to tell you the truth. Because if a defender runs you off the 3-point line, you have to have a mid-range game. And a lot of players today, they rely on the 3-point shot. When you run them off the line, their game becomes you know, neutral in a sense, you know. So this is what former players are talking about, man. And you're taking away from inside play. You know, when you got a big man that has his defender, you know, he has him pinned down. All you have to do, man, just bounce the, execute a bounce pass to give him the ball. Then 2-1, man, he's going to score, at least draw a foul and go to the free throw line. You know, so the game has grown stagnant in that area. But as far as the young talent in the league, the talent infusion, I love that part of it. But and the center position is starting to reemerge. Of course, you had Nikola Jokic is playing out of his mind right now. You had Embiid, prior to the injuries. You have tremendous young centers in this league. Domantas Sabonis, Alperen Sengun, Ivica Zubac, Porzingis, who's really he's really a power forward, but he's tall enough to play center. Derek Lively III, Victor Wembanyama in the league now, Zach Edey. I'm excited about that part. So maybe as the center position starts to reestablish itself, we'll see less 3-point shots attempted. You see what I'm saying? And it'll be a more balanced game. Because I'm gonna tell you, when you a team that's shooting 63-point shots, and that means you missing. Matter of fact, Boston, half of their shot attempts were from behind the arc. Half. You see what I'm saying? So when that shot's not falling and you have no backup plan, you're not looking good out there, man. And 2-1, you're gonna lose. Especially come playoff time when the defenses, become more intense. You see what I'm saying? And the shooting percentages are naturally going to come down anyway. So it's going to come down to execution, But like I said, this is not to knock the game. It's not knocking the game. It's just pointing out that there is a cause for concern, and it doesn't look pleasing when you're just coming down there jacking up threes, shooting 30-footers. You see what I'm saying? That one went down back in the day. And if the team tried to do that, they would have got beat. Guaranteed. They would have got beat. So, like I said, man, I'm a fan of Curry, man. I believe as of right now, Steph Curry should be recognized because he has 4 championships, 2-time league MVP, the only unanimous MVP in the history of the NBA. Although I really don't think there should be a unanimous league MVP, but nonetheless, he has that in his resume. He's the all-time leader in 3-point shots made, and he's the all-time leader in free throw shooting percentage. And there's been a lot of great free throw shooters in this game, and he has that mark. So I would say that he deserves to be, when Isaiah Thomas retired in 1994, I viewed him as the greatest player ever for anyone his height or shorter. He was the greatest small man. But I believe, based on what Curry has achieved, I believe he should be placed higher than Zeke. And I had Isaiah Thomas as one of the top 15 greatest players ever. So Curry, as of right now, should be recognized as one of the top 10 greatest players ever. That's just my estimation. But it's more to his game than a 3-point shot. So I'm going to definitely say this. Steph Curry is the greatest combo guard in the history of the NBA. When they say, well, who's the best guard between him and Magic Johnson? Well, Magic Johnson is the best point guard ever, but Curry is the best combo guard, you see. But yeah, I just want to drop that, man. The 3-point shot is becoming too reliant upon, and that's not running the offense. Because even if you're a great 3-point shooter, you're going to miss more than you make. You're not going to shoot 50% from three throughout the course of the season. As far as a premier player, that's not going to happen. You see what I'm saying? But I just want to drop that nugget real quick. And yeah, they gotta address that, man. They gotta address that. They got to. But until next time, this is JB BTB behind the bench.